Whip, you may proceed.
No, thanks, Chair. I think, Minister, I think the first thing that I just want to bring your attention to, and you don't have to go and read because I will quote and give you the context. On your affidavit, which you presented to us, paragraph 27 and paragraph 37. Paragraph 27 talks about the fact that the extension of the lifespan of the PKTT was done on the basis of a consultation between the minister and the National Commissioner. And I would imagine that would be a meaningful consultation, meaning a direct consultation that would have taken place. Now, on paragraph 37, you are then saying that you are bringing to our attention, actually, that both Generals Masemula and Mchunu, in your own words, you are saying they failed to produce the evidence of the extension because the last extension that took place was before the resignation of the then National Commissioner General Ntuli. Now, my question is, in terms of that position, Minister, do you have any evidence which confirms that indeed there was no consultation?
Rather that there was no extension.
No, let me explain why I'm putting it this way. Remember, your contention is that throughout the period after General Ntuli departed, the two generals who came before us were unable to provide evidence that the sustenance of the PKTT was as a consequence of a confirmed consultation between the National Commissioner and the Minister. That would be Minister Pegicel in this case. Now, my question is, do you have evidence that actually there wasn't any consultation? Remember, they didn't give us evidence that there was a consultation according to your contention. But will you be in the position to give us evidence contrary? That actually here is the evidence. There was never a consultation.
I'm trying to think what form other than that it's not there. Maybe some investigation, because you can have it in concretely when it is there, but when it is not there, it will be difficult to say here is evidence other than via an investigation within the department to say. But on my check, I was satisfied that none exists.
Okay. Now, in the normal course of events, would that consultation only be limited to a written and signed document between the Minister and the National Commissioner, or it might also include a conversation between the two?
I would basically argue that it would have been written based on information that I got, that it was written, but I can't deny that it may have taken whatever other form, if it did.
Okay.
But in this instance, it was based on written.
Okay. No, thanks, Minister. I was asking that question because I thought, because even when General Ntuli left and General Masemula took over, I suppose that's how they followed each other, or whatever the sequence might have been. But even as he has departed, the evidence exists that beyond his tenure, meetings of the IMC did take place and reports were taken to cabinet,
Yeah.
which may therefore justify a conclusion that in whatever form it may have taken, a green light was given by both the then Minister Cele and the National Commissioner for the PKTT to be extended. So that is the point that I wanted to make. You may want to comment on it.
Yes, it's not just it may, the reason why I was doubting verbal, it was because it has to be in the form of an assessment written down, as opposed to a request for money. There's a distinction. That's why the CFO in 2024 March talks about the need for a work study if the National Political Killings Task Team is to be drafted into the organogram. It suggests that there would have been a work study. It can't be verbal, and that such a work study signed and would then extend the term, and then it would release money, as opposed to the process going the other way around. So I doubt that you could do it verbally, both the assessment and signing for the extension.
So in that context, Minister, shouldn't we then come to the conclusion that if there was an expectation that a meaningful consultation will occur between the Minister and the National Commissioner to extend, that therefore a meaningful consultation would also be rationally expected between the Minister and the National Commissioner to discontinue?
It would be expected.
It would be expected.
I think so, if I hear you well.
Okay. But in this case, we can conclude that because if the way in which you would expect it would be in a written form, in some form of an assessment, remember, between the big chiefs, the Minister and the National Commission.
Yes.
Would I be wrong then to conclude that that did not meaningfully happen between the Minister Mchunu and General Masemula in the case of a discontinuity?
That there was no extension.
Meaningful consultation between the two chiefs that, okay, we're discontinuing.
No, I have explained that I didn't consult per se on face-to-face or in writing, but there were meetings on factors. I singled out one factor that I had a problem with. It is the category of people who came to report certain things, certain practices. And I felt that because of this factor, I wouldn't be able to, I would be able to rely on it to effect the directive. And then we will have discussions later, but I took that as risky and serious, and that I wouldn't be able to go to anyone and talk to them on this particular matter.
Okay.
But
Now,
others, I would want to you to underline that there have been processes, there have been everything, but not on the actual directive to disestablish.
now in your response to a question from the senior counsel, including from some of my colleagues, Minister, you made references to the fact that you had directed the Chief of Staff to send the letter to the acting commissioner
Yes.
and the National Commissioner.
Yes.
And then he decided without your direction to send it to the PAs of other generals. And I want to say, would the PAs of other generals include the PA of General SB?
I can't recall specifically, but I do recall him indicating that he sent to some PAs. I can't recall whether he did it to all deputy national commissioners.
Okay. I'm asking this question and I really would not hold you accountable for that because that was a person acting outside your instruction. But I'm asking this question because a particular web has been created of Mokgotsi, Matlala, Sbiya, and I will explain later on why that web becomes a matter of concern to us and his conduct to decide that beyond what the minister has asked me to do, I'm also sending to all others. Because when you read that web, it becomes, it's very difficult to believe that he would have excluded the PA of General SB.
Yes.
And it's very easy to conclude that the inclusion of General SB as PA may very well be informed by the fact that he had an interest for Sbiya to act faster without being delayed by anybody else above Sbiya. I mean, that's not your question. It's a question we will pose to him, given the deductions that we can make when we look at the sequence of events after that. But I'm not posing it to you. And then when you were responding to Honorable Malema on the Mokgotsi question, of course, you referred to the character that you did not know, and we explained what you explained. I don't want to get into details about what exactly did you say. Now, he appears to be very central to the crisis we're handling, Mokgotsi, in one way or the other. Will there be a way in which this will have an impact in your relationship with him? Will it define the relationship in any way? You don't have to tell me in what way, but given what has happened now, and here is this correct, do you think that is going to redefine the way in which you related to him?
Without it being central, and my view is that it is not central, but your second question, definitely it would have to. It will have to affect the relationship. Why? Because I related to him as an ordinary comrade, just like I do to other comrades, many comrades. And then I relate to all of them without asking them many questions. Like when I heard that he may have had his membership expired, I recall, I never asked him whether your card is current. And it happened so with other comrades. So I would say that I just took it as a comrade whenever we talk and relate. It's only now that I get to know other things that, there's this as well. He talks to so-and-so, he talks to so-and-so, all these people that are being revealed in the Madlanga Commission, which I had no information about. The first time I sort of blew my nose was when somebody said, this guy seems to be talking about you, dropping your name, and so on. It was sometime this year, to which I reacted by calling him to say, I'm getting information that you dropped my name where you are and all of that, which he denied. And I had no way of, confronting him at that time to say, but here and so on. But it will definitely redefine the relationship. It will have to redefine.
Okay, thanks. Now, when you were responding to Honorable Nomvalo, I think he was asking you a question in relation to how you gathered together the information which helped you to come to a conclusion. Some of it was from the public, others, so it came from different centers or different platforms.
Yes.
Now, given what I would say, Minister, is an established fact, at least in my own assessment, that there's been a huge public condemnation of this decision. Now, the decision I'm talking about is a decision to de-establish the National Political Killing Task Team. I may be wrong, but my own assessment is that there's been a huge public condemnation. And of course, it's informed by many things, some of which I will come to it later on. Would you say that had you been alive to all that you know today, you could have taken a different decision?
I would specifically say I would have taken the same decision, but the form would have been different. Like I said yesterday, I said when somebody was asking me, given what has happened, whether I would find a different approach to this, whether I would do it differently. I said yes, I would do now that all these things, I would do it differently. Now I'm saying the same thing. The decision would have needed to be taken, Honorable Mpemba, based on it's even if you try to duck it, you try to avoid it, you would have needed to take a decision of this nature at some point, purely based on how you use money that is available, and ask yourself whether the way we are using money currently in subs is optimal, is in line with the wish to protect everybody, not only in KZN, but in the country. Is it optimal use? And also given the fact that you now have the new structure, which does everything that the National Political Killings Task Team is meant to do, and so on. So you would have had to take the decision, but maybe the form that it would take, you definitely would have needed, if you were aware, if I was aware, I would have taken, it would have taken a different form, the same decision.
On paragraph 84 of your affidavit, Minister, you are referring to the meeting that took place on the 21st of November. And that is a meeting of the minister and his two deputy ministers. And you are very particular that that meeting, among its own part of its decisions, was that the minister must have a meeting with the National Commissioner.
Yes,
there was a web of, a lot of allegations that were there, and the direction was that the minister must meet with the National Commissioner. Now, before you answer that, on the 22nd, there's another meeting that takes place, which is not a meeting of the minister and the National Commissioner, but it's all other people who are there. Was the meeting of the 22nd already planned when you went to the meeting of the 21st?
Yes, because we can't, we couldn't call a meeting in a day. It was already planned. It was already in our plans. I think we had a little chat about that even on the 21st. But yes, it was already planned. But on the first question, the actual resolution was that no, engage the National Commissioner, of course, in the meeting. That was how we framed it.
Don't you think that maybe if you had engaged the National Commissioner in a way that I think you were directed by your meeting with your colleagues, as opposed to engaging him in a bigger meeting with everybody else on the 22nd, you would have understood each other very well? And I'm asking that in the context of the fact that the National Commissioner came to you a month earlier in October and raised concerns about some of his colleagues, including his deputy, General Sibia. Now, you now meet on the 21st of November, again on the 22nd, And we got a sense that on the 22nd, that is where a discussion took place about challenges facing the organization. But don't you think that a one-on-one with him to go deeper on these matters would have been helpful as opposed to the 22nd meeting?
They perhaps would, but on the 22nd, I still had no idea how what the engagement would need to take, what form it would need to take, because we had just met the previous day. So I was beginning to think, what would be the issues, what would be the approach, and so on. And I was still way before I could settle with anything that would make sense to me at that particular time. But theoretically, had something settled already to me, definitely, I see that would have been the case, assisted, yes.
I'm asking that, Minister, because I mean, you sit with your deputies and that's a political leadership of the department. And I imagine that when you were looking at these allegations, you were not looking at them in general. There may have been some general things, but you would be particularly concerned about their evolution. Maybe the allegations now, they might tomorrow evolve to be the truth. So now you're the political head, you're sitting with your colleagues and they're saying, please go and engage the chief of the police because we can all see these things are going to lead into a major national crisis if they remain unattended. So that is why I was raising this question, because I was worried that it seems like you place less value to that conversation. And yet the October meeting, you met with him and he raised concerns himself about some of his colleagues.
Yeah, the meeting of the 22nd, our minds were made up for raising other issues which were different from this one, and they were specific. I was going to raise as I did, the murder rate, the drugs and firearms, and then GBVNF. So we're like made up for that, even on the agenda and every other thing. But had it not been maybe for that, I continue to agree with you that you would have taken a step maybe much earlier. It would have helped, but it wasn't to be one, because I had not made up my mind, not because I put less value, not at all. I allowed it to sink, to occupy my mind going forward, and it did for some time though, because I was saying, if I were to engage, what form, what issues? And there were already issues on the basket. We were going for the workshop, 3-day workshop, and that included equity matters between different units and better conditions. So that was already occupying our mind at the summit later. But I had this thing that there are serious matters that we have to discuss, and I wanted to tackle those at the beginning of the year.
No, thanks, Minister. In paragraph 140 of your statement, paragraph 140, you make reference to the role of crime intelligence and the killing of Mr. Makaka. What is the issue there? Would you like to share that with us, or it's a matter that...
Well, it's basically something that some of the people that I say contacted me wanted to talk about. Yes, maybe I could put it at that, which I then said, I would want these people or that person to come in person wherever, which I had no idea that time what form it would do. That's why at the beginning of the year, should it be a ministerial inquiry? I had that. That's why I even had a discussion with Pikoli and so on. But we had not settled, we didn't settle on that idea, but there was an idea that there should be a platform of sorts for such people and allegations of that nature.
Okay. In your affidavit, paragraph 158, you refer to a recruitment of intelligence to strengthen a certain paramilitary structure in KZN. What is that?
Well, it's in the context of the need which was expressed via the directive, which I was meant to sit with the National Commissioner on. And it's one of the issues that I intended originally to have a discussion on with the National Commissioner, among others, as we sit and discuss what recruitment, what form it should take, what are the other things that we should bear in mind. I had picked up information that there were such intentions in KZN. I won't be able to talk in details, but somehow these would also rely on some of our structures as those get built. In other words, they would exploit any weakness and take any possibility as those paramilitary structures get established on the site.
Well, are you comfortable to share more on that? Because I'm asking because what you are saying in your affidavit is that this paramilitary structure, which was being organized or being set up in KZN, had its own ambition. Now, I don't know whether the ambition are of the structure or the creator, and whether the structure is in existence already, or you were picking up information that it was about to be. Because, but your statement say to strengthen the paramilitary structure in KZN. So I would imagine strengthening means it's existing already.
Existing,
and it has ambitions.
Existing in some form, but there was that, according to what I got, and the ambition is that of those who were said to be behind such structures.
But would this not be the PKTT?
Well, PKTT is a political party.
No, I'm saying when you talk about this structure, you are not referring to the National Political Killing Task Team.
Oh, I thought my mind is on something else. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but it might.
Well, I'm sure if any matter would have been gone into, if such a fact would turn out to be true, then it would be. But from the legal that I got, it just came in that form that some paramilitary is in the formation, strengthening, and so on.
Were you given a sense by the people who shared that information with you? Were you given a sense of the nature of the relationship between the PKTT and the paramilitary structure?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay. I hope that matter, Minister, will have to be followed very urgently, given the fact that, as you know, you know where we come from in KZN. I don't have to educate you or anyone about it. And of course, if at your level, there's an observation of a structure like that being in existence and with its own ambitions, which I would imagine are devoid from the ambition of the South African security forces, that does present a particular threat.
I agree with you fully.
Thank you. And then, Minister, the meeting that was, I think you've dealt with this question at a different level. about the meeting that was requested by General Mchunu, in which he wanted to attend with all these other people, including Mr. Brown Mohotsi, who is not a part of the organization. Now, I know you responded why you did not grant that meeting, and you explained, and you had a plan that you were also having an intention at some point to have a one-on-one with General Mchunu,
Yes.
so that he can have an opportunity to express himself and you can understand each other.
Yes.
But some of the issues that resulted in you not taking that direction, and this may not be exhaustive, but some of those issues was the level of anger on his part and the threat that he meted against you. What would you say to a South African that is sitting somewhere and saying, in that environment, was it not the case that the individual interest or circumstances of the minister, our minister, remember this is our minister, all of us as South Africans, were now taking precedence. They were taking precedence over national interest. Because here is a very senior general. I'm saying senior because it's a provincial commissioner. And he says, among other things, when he's asking for a meeting, besides his family issues and what, but he begins by talking about internal challenges in the organization. Now you are sitting there as a South African, you hear that part of the reason that the minister could not meet with this general were around the question of the threat and the anger of the general. How would you respond to this South African who say, maybe at that moment, the individual interests of the minister were taking precedence over our national interest?
Not really, because I decided that the meeting would rather take a different form. Let me start with a meeting of General Masimula and General Sibia. Let me then go to the meeting with General Sibia and General Mchunu, which were not my interests, beyond that of the nation. So I decided a different angle, or to start the meeting in a different way. These other ones, his posture after, as a reaction to my directives, was not uppermost at that time, but they were in the environment, as I said before. But the main thing was, so General Mchunu is talking about internal issues. He's mentioning these people. Perhaps I should start with the two whose matters are kind of buzzing in subs at head office from where I sat, so that we move and so on, intensify these interactions. If there are problems, let's resolve. At some point I said to National Commissioner, could he give me an opportunity to resolve or to approach General Sibia on his own matters as alleged and so on. So I was very keen to actually not leave anything, but in the context of that request, but also in my own right, because I was sensing that there is a certain level of turmoil. So never did that happen, or nearly happen, that I had personal interests on the matter. I was just putting it aside, looking at it, how it would develop, that kind of reaction, and we're going on to work with my side on that on the side.
Now, the Minister, would you agree with me when I say the confidence of the population on the work of the South African Police Service should also manifest itself in one way or the other to the extent to which they also express the confidence in the leadership of that South African Police Service?
It's basically one basket, because they are meant. They expect that the minister would make efforts to raise the bar or raise confidence of South Africans to law enforcement in one way or the other, where it is to a higher level and so on. So it's somehow tied. It's a chain in a way.
Okay. Now, how do you think South Africans have interpreted your intervention when you said here in this ad hoc committee, for a certain matter, you are pursuing a private investigation as a Minister of Police? What message do you think that is likely to communicate to the Republic?
Well, it's the nature of what I'm doing, and I take it that there would be understanding. I can't go to a police station and say I'm opening a case against so and so, because that is not what I have. I don't have a case against the individual that I can open a case against. But it does need to be followed up in a particular way. So I wouldn't expect any confusion on that. There are matters for which you can't go to a police station, but matters though that you have and can't go to the police station because there's no case to register at that point. In other words, there's no obvious wrongdoing, but you are gathering information and so on. So I take it that there would be clear understanding of that.
Honorable Sangoni.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, just to follow up. I'm sorry, Chief Whip. Minister, you complained at length about General Mkhwanazi. What's the word I'm looking for? Going out to look for a case about you post facto. You said he has no case, he can't prove corruption, and he's going to look for it. How is what you are saying now different? You are the Minister of Police. You're supposed to have confidence in the police. If there's things that you're unhappy with, you report them to the police because there's a case. But you're saying you're going after someone, you don't have enough information, you've hired a private investigator. How does that differ from what General Mkhwanazi did to you or is doing to you?
No, it's different. Here, you've got a certain chain of activities that have emerged about, and they are aligned with a particular individual. Now, I then get a warning that so-and-so gets to drop your matters or your name here and there and so on. I phone him. And my intention is to talk to him and say, look, I have appointed somebody to look at whatever. I'm not opening a case. I'm just following on that allegation that I picked up, that I was warned about, to say he drops my name, which he denied. Now, when I look at the SMSs that are being spoken about, and if they are true, it does mean that there would be this and that, that it does dropping my name even on those. So it's something that is open that I need to find and so on.
Thank you.
Chief Whip, you may proceed.
Okay, no, thanks, Chair. Let me just give a second to the lawyer is still giving some information to the minister. No, I'm not a problem. I just want to be certain that the minister can hear me. I'm not condemning you. You are doing your work, yeah. Now, Minister, maybe let me just share this with you because it was raised earlier on, maybe without it being specific. This issue of how people interpret immediately other people. Let me just share with you what General Sbiya said to us. And he says that at paragraph 46 of his sworn affidavit, he told us that immediately does not mean 6 months or within a month. It means immediately, now. It's written like that in his affidavit. It means immediately, now. And of course, that position, that perspective has to be our his understanding of that. In a way, it does coalesce with the understanding of the other two generals, which is Mkhwanazi and Masemula, that the intervention was with immediate effect. You can comment if you want to on this issue, but I'm just making you aware that your subordinates, the recipient of your instruction, if there's one thing that they are converging about, the three generals, the only thing I've heard that these ones are agreeing on is the fact that immediately means now.
I would contest that is their understanding. The first one is that General Masemula, I think he understood it well. It starts on the 3rd. It goes to the 22nd via a letter suggesting a phased approach in terms of managing the implementation of the directive. It goes to the meeting of the 6th, 5th, and then 6th, and then 27th, which had no immediate in that particular context. It was clear that this is his understanding, and I agreed with it. So if he came here to say immediate meant now, I would say immediately that, but that's not your understanding in terms of what you proposed. That's number one. Number two, I wouldn't know what was Sbiya's thinking, because this thing is on two fronts. Immediate means now, but in terms of understanding that a decision has been taken, and then you start processes. But that in actual fact, you could say now, like switch off the light. I would say switch off the light now. You can stand up, and that's not the ordinary. That's not the thinking of an ordinary person in terms of what this thing would mean. Even now, we'll say, when are you going to Johannesburg? You say, I'm going to Johannesburg now, but you are going, the next thing you do, you go and wait in the airport for an hour or two. So I think let's be practical and ordinary and not seek to change the flow of things in the normal life. But when I wrote with a full understanding of what I meant. I'm taking a decision now, but let's meet on the 20th. Let's meet on the 20th, which itself was open. If anybody had a query, would have phoned, would have done all of that. But it's a, so I don't think we need to be fussy and rigid in terms of the meaning of immediate, even though it's applied. It has to be applied like any other, I would say. And I even went on to say it's not like in a drill. I made an example. You can, so people can argue and so on otherwise. But when I wrote, that's what I meant. That's how I saw things. That's why I wrote preliminary report. Even though I had said now, but said preliminary report, and I pointed at the 20th, and then later. And I know you don't stick with your dates necessarily like a robot. Sometimes things get postponed and so on. So it was in that context.
Chief Whip, let's just hold it there.
Okay.
I see you are left with very, very few minutes. I see there are 3 hands there. The minutes left are 4 for you, Chief Whip.
No, the 4 minutes is more than enough for me.
Yeah, no, I'm informing you that your time left is 4 minutes. Honorable Skosana, Honorable James, Honorable Ngola.
Thank you, Chair. I thought that the minister by today, he will have accepted, the issue and the meaning that, it's like they are insulting our intelligence. Explaining this issue of immediate as if we don't understand and mhlambe asazi ukuthi immediate usho ini. And this is all, there was an illustration here. If you tell your driver that he must stop the car immediately, your driver will think and stop 100 kilometers away after you told him to stop the car. It can't be. I think, Minister, you must accept that immediate means immediate, not what we are trying to, the way you are responding to us is like we are going around the bush. We understand exactly what immediate means. Please respect us, Minister. Thank you, Chair.
I'm ruling you out because I thought you are asking a clarity-seeking question. Honorable James.
Chairperson, we must be mindful of the fact that there are children watching. And I think it's really, I want to agree with Honorable here. I think it's really insulting our intelligence to be going over this and saying that the word immediately may mean now or later and coming up with all of these examples. Can you not insult us like that? Can we just be clear? There's then a clear language barrier that is then evident in this room that we've been entertaining for the last couple of days, and we've been dragging on issues based on the simple meaning of words. Chair, we cannot continue like this. It takes up so much time. In every engagement with so many of the members, we've had to unpack what the word immediately means and so many other words. Please protect us from this blatant undermining of our intelligence. Thank you, Chair.
I'm ruling you out of order because it's not a clarity-seeking question. Honorable Ngola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, the minister in his response to the Chief Whip, he makes mention of the fact that anyone who would have had a problem with the immediate provision in his directive would have extended even a call to him to get some clarity if a need arises. Now, I'm taken aback, Chair, because if that would be a proper or adequate modus operandi, would we be here if the minister had extended a call to General Mchunu when it was reported by his chief of staff that General Mchunu is angry and making threats? The same way he did when he heard that Brown Mohotsi is name dropping him, he extended a call. Would we actually be here had that particular modus operandi operated way before this thing bested in the manner in which it has bested now? Thank you.
Okay. Let's do like this, honorable members. Minister, Honorable Minister, you have given many examples trying to explain the word immediately. And the last examples are the ones that you have just given now. Yes, no, I will come to you. About switching off the lights. Yes. And there are other examples that you have given earlier on, what the word immediately means and what the word immediately does not mean. And I want to plead with you and also plead with you, honorable members. If we make it a habit of this parliament to discuss words like swimming pool, fire pool, immediately, not immediately. We want to make it a habit of this parliament. It's a problem. We are leadership. A swimming pool must stay a swimming pool. And immediately must stay immediately. I don't see us wasting any time, Chief Whip, trying to discuss English words here. It's very clear. So immediately is immediately, we know it, Minister, what it means. It means now. Yes. Yes, it cannot be any other thing, and I just want us to move away from being hostages of semantics. There is an established understanding of what the word means. So we can't be a parliament that is known for what it is not supposed to be. Thank you so much. Honorable Nomvalo, your hand was up.
Yeah, no, on the same issue, Chair, I know that you have closed it. But maybe you are hard on the minister. Maybe he has a source that he uses which describes the word differently. Because dictionaries are used here in South Africa to get a meaning of the word. Dictionaries are used, and the name immediately has been used even by the office of the president to say this decision is effective with immediate effect. Maybe the minister can point us to a source that he is using with a different direction, because I even went to the Oxford Dictionary, I went to Cambridge. The word means now. It doesn't mean anything else. So I was going to ask, where does the minister get that definition from? It's a clarity-seeking question, because it might happen that really he genuinely believes that it doesn't mean now, because there is a source that he uses which describes words. So which source is the minister using to get that definition? Thank you.
Do you agree with my summary, honorable member?
I agree, Chair, but...
No, we will pass the question, don't worry.
Okay.
Honorable Malem.
No, Chair, I want your summary to also apply to the minister. Because we, this side, seem to be understanding immediately to mean now. He's the only one who doesn't understand that. He gives it context of lights and all of that. He keeps on saying other things. So you are ruling, you must be able to communicate even to him or minister. Immediately means now, according to this meeting of ours, as a chair of this meeting.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it must not only apply to us, and it must shift from wanting to, because it's not semantics. He keeps on speaking about context. When used in a particular context, it will mean something else. But the reality is, it means now, and we are not accepting his explanation and his redefinition of immediately. We are accepting what you are saying, and he needs to live with that. He needs to accept that.
No, I agree with you, because I have said it that it must not be a bad precedent for this parliament, where every time we have proceedings, South Africans will have to bring their dictionaries along, because they know parliament will be arguing if this is immediately, or it's hereafter, or it's this and that. So, Honorable Minister, we have an established understanding of what the word immediately means. And let us not go back to the past. Let's go ahead with that. Let's proceed with that understanding. That immediately means now. Honorable Nomvalo,
Chair.
Honorable Nomvalo has asked you a question which says maybe you might have consulted another source, and he is interested to know what is the source that would have given you a different understanding of the word.
I wrote immediately. And then I said preliminary report. And then I said Minesco. Now, I can't say any other thing, but it is the right of the committee to exclude what I included in the letter. I won't contest that because you are the ad hoc committee. I'm not dealing with the meaning of immediate. I'm talking about it as applied in the letter that I wrote. Thank you.
No, honorable members, let's proceed.
Chair.
Hello, Honorable Malim.
Minister, are you accepting the ruling of the chairperson?
Honorable Minister, are you able to respond to the question?
The chair is chairing the meeting. And
Yes. Are you accepting? We said we accept. He even asked us, do you accept my ruling? He asked Honorable Nomvalo if he accepts his ruling. So I'm asking you through the chair, do you accept his ruling?
I feel there is a prejudice I will suffer if I accept it as it is, the ruling. But, and I'm saying I have no problem with the committee deciding. But I feel that we can't exclude these other two words that I included.
Okay, I see Honorable Breitenbach and Honorable Ngola's hands are up.
Thank you, Chair. This point is dead. It has been flogged to death. I kind of wish it was me that had been flogged to death, but it has been flogged to death. We cannot, and neither can you, with the greatest of respect, tell the minister what to say. His evidence is his evidence. His answers are his answers. If you don't like them, you can cross-examine him on them. And if you still don't like that, you can argue it at the end, but we, and neither can you, put words in his mouth. That is just patently wrong and unfair, and I don't know any process that allows it.
Honorable Ngola.
Chair, you unfairly clubbed my question with people who were talking about immediately, and my question was differently packaged on the issue of the modus operandi the minister was suggesting people should have done. But it's fine, maybe the minister can make sentiments on it. But I want to check, Chair, now that this matter is coming to a close, that the minister says there is a context, and the context is that immediately then the 20th. And that is not the context in my understanding.
Yeah, no, I don't want us to debate the matter. I want the minister to respond to that question that you have asked, and we move ahead. You had earlier asked a question. So if we were going to keep on debating immediately on Medelec, I don't think that it's going to help us. Do you allow me to give the minister a chance to respond to the question that you asked?
It's fine, Chair.
You can restate the question so that he remembers what you...
I got it, Chair.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now, I was at that time merely indicating what could have been the case to clarify whatever, if there was any reason, if there was a reason to clarify it. It's a normal thing that if there's something like an instruction or a letter you don't understand, you can phone, you can ask for a meeting and on the site and so on. Then when you talk about General Mkhwanazi, that could have been done as well. I could have lifted the phone and say, I pick up that you are angry, but I didn't choose to do so. I chose to be quiet and silent on the matter and observe what's happening. Thank you.
Yeah, Chief Whip, may you use your last 4 minutes.
You remember my 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. No, thanks, Chair. No, I would stick to that 4 minutes. By the way, the reason I was raising this point, Minister, I know that my colleagues have taken it to a different direction. The reason I was raising it was because I wanted to bring to your attention, to draw your attention to the fact that the subsequent actions in the department following your directive were done on the basis of a particular understanding of what the directive meant. That's all I wanted to say. And I'm not contesting your argument about the context and all that we're saying. I wanted just to draw your attention to the fact that the way in which processes evolved in the department were driven by a particular understanding of the directive. Now, I want to conclude by, I'm just going to read a few things here and then ask the last question, Minister. You don't have to write them, or you can write them, but it's things that it's just to connect the many dots up to date. The first one is that you wrote a letter on the 31st of December. The second one is that Mr. Nkabinde, without your instruction, shares the letter with all the PAs, which I want to contend it would not have excluded General Sbiya until I'm proven otherwise. The third point is that Mokgotsi talks to Matlala immediately following the directive being out. In terms of the evidence that has been shown in the papers presented before us, there's an indication that they, soon after your directive, started to converse over WhatsApp. The fourth point is that Mokgotsi and Sbiya often find time to either talk to each other or even to meet. Sometimes they even meet where they were not expecting each other, but Mkhot would come across to greet. Number 5 is that Sbiya, after your directive, he immediately directed that Tama dockets must be brought back to the head office. Number 6 is that no work was done on any of those dockets when they were taken back to the head office for that 4 months. And when they were brought back, I think in less than a month after they were brought back, some arrests were to have taken place. Number 6 or number 7 is that when Mr. Matlala had a problem with his tender, he decided to go to the SAPS headquarters or wherever, but to meet General Sbiya when Sbiya was the acting national commissioner. Number 7 is that in July, you issued a statement distancing yourself from Matlala, and then you directed your lawyers, as was, I think, engaged on the input made by Honorable Malema, which resulted in an affidavit or whatever that has happened. Now, here is my question then, Minister. With all these coincidences, that in and of itself present a serious conundrum on the state of the security in our country. These coincidences, all of them. Because from where you are sitting, these things are not coordinated to happen the way they happen, but this is how they happen in terms of the evidence before the people of South Africa. Now, my question is, and this is my last question, obviously. Now, as a cadre of our movement, and I'm using that deliberately, because as you know, I'm the chief whip of the ANC. As a cadre of our movement, how do you intend to restore the public confidence and the trust to the Ministry of Police, to the nation, and lastly, to our movement, given these allegations? Because the web that I've drawn for you, it would be difficult for anyone to disagree that read together, it constitutes a particular and a very serious threat to the legitimacy, not just of the work of the police, the nation, but equally the movement that you come from. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me leave the first set of things from 31st, all PAs, not because I'm not responding by saying I recognize them as important, just for the sake of time, leave them. But on dockets, I would recommend that the ad hoc committee gets a full report on the ad hoc committee and the state of dockets. My understanding is that it's not a simple matter of dockets moving from KZN and back and so on. And it's not a simple matter of dockets sitting in Pretoria and then back before we reach a conclusion on the matter. And I would attach a lot of importance that the committee makes an effort to get information. And I did at some point recommend that one of the people who can be an authority in terms of information on this, who handled, as far as I'm concerned, is General Motsipe. I would recommend that the committee makes an effort to provide that time. Two, on the relations between Matlala and Sbia, I would agree, seeing that Matlala seems to be a person running, I don't know whether this is the only tender he got or the other tenders, that it's not a conduct that inspires confidence, that you have your headquarters where the entrepreneurs just befriend you to a point where such a thing would happen. And it does affect confidence, for instance, to other tenderers or tenderpreneurs and so on, to say, so-and-so is able to run up and down, but I am also a businessman, I'm not able to run up and down, it's a problem. One of the things that I can mention in this regard is that somewhere in January, the offices of crime intelligence in East London, somebody just walked us to get inside the gate, proceeded to the offices, asked for a particular officer, went there and said, once he was there, declared the office a crime scene. Now, once declared a crime scene, he made a demand of, I think, 1.2 million or so. And then the officer in that office went out, came back with 1.2 million, gave it to this person. Person climbed down, walked out of the building, out of the gate, just walked, no car, and then walked and disappeared, although subsequently arrested by DPCI. But I'm saying those things, they contributed in one of the directives to say, what kind of people do we have in crime intelligence? And in Randbeck as well, there was also a report that 600,000 disappeared from the hands of officers who are there, distributed it to amongst themselves and so on. So those are the matters. So I would say it does take confidence. It does need to be looked at. our behavior in relation to business people and so on, if we are to inspire confidence. Leave that, go to, I do want to just pass the affidavit. We had a discussion with Honorable Malema on this in this committee, and I said I share his views in terms of the affidavit, but sharing the views as I do, that is the very thing that is being used to keep on poking at me to say there's a person I relate with when I say I don't relate to Matlala, I've never spoken, but there's still things that are running. Now, when the lawyers get an affidavit, I don't think I deserve to be, well, criticism is always, but I don't deserve to be, well, I would say we need to equally recognize that that is the very same person that is being used to say this one relates to the other. So when the affidavit says something, and people tend to disregard that, I have a feeling that says that we are choosing, we choose sides and so on. Let me pass that. So go to the fundamental question that what needs to be done when there is a situation like that and people in South Africa feel the way. I would have said openly to this ad hoc committee that down the line you would have needed some measures, maybe not wholesale overhaul, but you would have needed measures to overhaul certain aspects of South African police service if you are to gain confidence. One of those is to say, what is the standard? What are the norms and standards for a police station? And I've put it to management that let's do the norms and standards for a police station. Because police and policing is not just head office. Police and policing is what people see on a daily basis and what they hear on a daily basis. Now, what is the system that station commanders use to police their area and so on? What informs them? And then overhaul the system of vehicles in police stations. This practice of a car breaks down somewhere Kukumbu in the Eastern Cape. Then an email has to go to the district office, then to the provincial office, then to head office. And then the person who fixes cars says, I want to wait until there are 15 breakdowns before I go down. It just is taking us nowhere. It doesn't build confidence and so on. Make the system work in favor of those who are on the ground, who are chasing criminals on a daily basis. You need an overhaul there. We spoke about that, but I don't think that as of now we are talking. In other words, build confidence from the floor and upwards, and do tangible things. If you have a police station which you promised some 5-10 years ago and you haven't done so, and there's crime, people will say it's because that police station has not been delivered. And therefore juggle the way you build infrastructure, your model of building infrastructure of police. And so there are quite a number of things. I call them enablers. We identified them and we spoke about them. Build down and let's not talk too much. Let's talk less and do the job on the ground, and then deal with deal with matters As long as we have this rate of matters, the drugs and firearms, which affects people on a daily basis, where they are losing their relatives and so on, people killed innocent. And for that, you need resources. Let's be realistic. You need resources. And you're not going to get those from Treasury. You are going to have to deal with with the matters on the ground. I would say it's a long process which needs drastic steps, of course with caution because you are dealing with people to take. But if you draw back, if you sit back and you think that there's going to be confidence suddenly, I don't think that is realistic. It's not. It unfortunately, Mpemba, as I end, there are risks in doing these things, these reforms and so on. There is. It's not going to be like sleeping on a bed. There is. It's going to cause some gravel in terms of feelings and so on. But you need these changes. You need these changes on the ground so that you bring confidence to the people. And it needs that kind of resolve internal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Whip. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. We have come to the end of this session. No.
Sifika kanjani
No,
lapho
no,
Chair?
No. I'm saying we have come to the end of the session, not of the proceedings. We are going to break immediately and come back at 5.